Is it showing the whole screen? Is it? Does it look right?
It's tiny because it's going to get,
So people looking at it. Okay, last week we went over trouble spots. You know, so when you start a deposition or start editing a file, you know, you can go through and take out, you know, your untranslates, trouble scans, conflicts, unresolved conflicts, stuff like that. So we kind of went through that stuff. I'm going to go through it real quick today, just because it's an important lesson once you get out. You know, it may not be to you guys now, but once you get out, and actually I think it is, because, you know, resolving your conflicts of your, and your, there, and there, if you write them the same, or if you just stroke it just a little bit differently and the other one comes up, then you know how to do it. Okay, so we'll kind of go through it really quick, and then you know, the rest of the lessons are going to go pretty quick. So anyway, we'll go through it again. This is one of the most important lessons of the tutorial, and you may want to go through it more than one time. That's why we're going to go through it again real quick today. I know that we didn't finish it last week. We got through most of it, but I wanted to take our time and kind of get through it, just because it is an important part of the lesson and learning the software. So in your hyperkeys, you know, they don't want you to move your fingers off the home key of the keyboard. So everything you can do right there with most of the letters. So if you want to do a trouble scan, it's T. Scan for untranslates is U. Scan for a conflict is C. Scan for an unresolved conflict is Shift C. Small c is the one that you're going to use the most, so that's why it's small. And then the other one, you have to kind of move your finger and do the Shift C or whatever. So that's the one that you're not going to use as much. And then the E is a fill in the blank. So if you have a witness, you know, if you need to put a witness list, if you need to put you know, an attorney or a speaker, then that's what that is right there, is filling in the blanks of the scans. So, and it just kind of tells you right here what most of the trouble spots are. It's the untranslated steno, the unresolved conflicts, and the form fields that haven't been filled in. So,
the form field that haven't been filled.
yeah, that's where like the witness,
Right.
the witness name.
Which trouble key do you use for that?
It's C, I believe.
The small c?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
E.
Oh, it's E for fill in the blank.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you could put your cursor on it and, you know, put it in the form field, and that'll do it also. But it's E is the fill in the blank. They kind of give you a little lesson right here of, you know, what you need to do or what you can do. So if you push the E, it'll take you to that field. You know, so if for some reason, you know, you go through and your block file already has, you know, the thing to where you put witness, and that's where you want your form field or block file to come in, to where that's where your witness's name goes in. You don't want that filled in with someone's name. You just want it as witness, you know, so you know what it is or whatever. I had already kind of gone through this lesson, so I had already put my name. But, I mean, say that you have it like that, or, you know, say that you have the witness's name wrong or whatever, you can go through there and put, you know, Joe Schmo or whatever. So you just put, you know, put whatever you need to put in there. Should it be Schmo? And it's going to be all caps also. So, you know, the witness's name is always, we'll just put Joe Day. You know, so it's always going to be capped, because that is the first time, that's symbolizing who the witness is that you're taking the deposition of. Press enter, it puts it in there. So it'll take you to the next field that needs to be filled in. So if that's the next witness, you know, it's still Joe Day. Enter, ready to go. Okay? Y'all got that? All right. So it kind of took me to the end of the lesson because it takes you down to the next spot that needs to the fill in blank. So, you know, you see that it has Joe Day right here, and then it'll have it at the end of the document also. Oh, we talked about marking a field and then going back to it. So if you want to go through and you know, say you already started editing your document, you can mark your document, go through it, get all the untranslates out, all the conflicts out, and then push hyperkey RT, and then that'll take you back to where the field that you were. Do we remember that?
Mm-hmm. I thought it was Shift X, mark your spot, Shift V, go back to the spot.
That's.
What is RT?
Oh, that's reverse translate. Reverse translate was RT. I'm sorry, guys. Hyperkey Shift V was take you back to the spot. Shift X is mark your spot. Shift V is go back to your spot. Okay? So after you go through your untranslates, you know, conflicts or whatever, then Shift V will take you back to the spot that you were at.
So it was the RT that you just said?
Was reverse trend. So if you know, remember if I told you, say an attorney calls you and they want you to do some excerpted testimony. Well, it's right in the middle of the thing, and then he calls you, says, you know what, I need from there all the way from the beginning. Well, you hadn't done it yet. You know, you could do, you know, Alt G, which will take you to the page 1, and then do, you know, the translates from there, or you can just start from there and do RT, which will be reverse tran, and then go from there. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
When you insert an ending on something?
Should be W in hyperkeys, I believe. Okay, I think we've already kind of covered this. It was the global replacements, and we'll kind of show the. Let's see what it says.
Let's see how to quickly select steno strokes to perform global replacements. In the Edit section, let's see how to quickly select steno strokes to perform global replacements. In the Edit section of User Settings, you'll see the option Global After Scan. If there's a check in that box, here's what it does. When I scan to the next untranslate, Eclipse will automatically highlight one stroke of steno for globaling. If I need additional strokes for globaling, I could simply press Ctrl G, as in global. Well, what if I scan to an untranslate, and the steno that I need to add does not come after, but before the untranslate? Here's where the arrows come in handy. You can target steno that comes before your starting point, or after it. Although you can use the mouse to point and click, keyboard commands are generally faster. Your keyboard's up-down arrows will add or subtract steno in front of your starting point, while Control down or Control up will add or subtract steno after your starting point. Of course, you do not have to use automatic global after scan. I prefer to use hyperkeys that make it possible to select multiple steno strokes with one button. So here, instead of having to press Ctrl G 5 times, I can just use hyperkey 0 to catch the 5 strokes with one button.
And it's hyperkey Alt 0 is what it is. Alt 0 is multiple. So it's Alt 7, Alt 8, Alt 7 for 2, Alt 8 for 3, Alt 9, blah, blah, blah. Okay? and it's just kind of going through here and explaining exactly what they just went over. Instead of doing the, the Control G, and just keep hitting G, G, G 5 times or whatever, then you know that the Alt 0 is for the 5, okay? And that explains it right there. Alt 7, 8, 9, 0. They don't give you the 1 because Alt G is for the 1. So if you just need one stroke, then you just do, Control G. Control G will give you the 1 global, and then the others are the Alt 7, Alt 8, Alt 9, Alt 10. Okay?
How do you say what your steno means? You say what your steno means. Total Eclipse lets you global at a glance. Glance at the list, pick the choice. It's that easy. Glance at the list, pick the choice. It's that easy. Ordinary CAT systems may try to use a basic phonetics table and the spelling dictionary to try to guess what you're globaling. This approach is typically not very successful and easily produces nonsense suggestions that only wind up adding steps to the globaling process. In contrast, Total Eclipse Global Magic is a sophisticated blend of several powerful tools. It's amazingly accurate, and it requires no extra steps. Here, with one button, I've marked 4 steno strokes for a global replacement. Eclipse automatically generates a short list of suggestions using intelligent phonetics. No need to type, or press the Alt key, or scroll, or use the mouse. Glance at the list, press 1. Then either press Enter or place this in any dictionary I need. Total Eclipse understands it's easy to drag or drop keys when you're writing complicated steno like vancomycin. A glance at the list, the right choice jumps out at me. Choice 1. I won't put this in a dictionary, but I'll just apply it to the rest of the job. So your steno doesn't have to be perfect to take advantage of global magic. This time I dragged in the number bar. Total Eclipse understands choice 1 and enter. Total Eclipse understands steno stacking. Choice 1, the suffix S followed by you have. We'll see it applied with intelligent spelling adjustments. How many times do you retype text as you're defining different ways of writing new names or terms in a job? Here I have a job dictionary entry for Tetra Technologies. The next time I wrote it, it's stacked with the period. No problem. Total Eclipse understands steno stacking. Choice 2, and it automatically offers to place this capitalized text in the job dictionary. Enter. Most of the time you'll probably find that the suggestion you need is at the top of the list. But if Eclipse has not guessed properly, just start typing. No additional steps are needed to make the glance list disappear. A quick note, a little tweaking of your phonetics table can really help Total Eclipse tune in to your writing style. Although Global Magic combines many sophisticated features, it's easy to use, even for editing from the steno keyboard. It can help you to quickly read your steno, greatly reduce your typing, and the more you use it, the better it gets.
We also talked last week, guys, about what Eclipse can do, and it only knows what you tell it. So in HyperKeys, you push in to insert. If you're going to insert text, well, you don't want to do that a whole lot. I mean, unless you just dropped words, you don't want to use in all the time. You know, unless you just don't really feel comfortable, with the command that you don't really feel comfortable doing one of the commands, and you just want to insert it just real quick and just be done with it. But the more you use the Auto Magic keys and the more you use the functions that Eclipse gives you, the more that it learns how you're writing. So it starts doing stuff for you. So the artificial intelligence kind of kicks in the more you use the software. So if you're just inserting, it doesn't know insert. It doesn't know that you're just typing in stuff. It doesn't know that. It doesn't know, because it's not a command. So all it's doing is just saying, well, he or she just dropped right here and they're just inserting stuff or whatever. It's not a command that it needs to remember. So you almost kind of want to do it. And even if it's something that you way misstroked, and not way misstroked, but something that you misstroked, and like I was telling you about, you know, the weak fingers that you have that one day, and if you have the weak fingers and it's working that day, put it in your job dictionary, because more than likely if you did it once, you're going to do it again. So, you know, you want to do it because Eclipse is going to remember, and then it's going to bring it up on the AutoMagic keys as a suggestion, because it knows that it was pretty close to what you did the last time with that stroke. So it's going to ask you, well, did you need to stroke something else because this is what you stroked, or did you mean to stroke this because last time it was pretty close to this stroke and this is what I'm going to bring up. So like the Tetra Technologies, if you just, you know, maybe you drug the period in there too quick and it's stacked a little bit, it's going to know. It'll know if you had put it in there already, you know, the tet as Tetra Technologies. Okay? And this is just kind of going over some of the globaling stuff that you need, and how you want to do it. You know, pressing Alt-A to do the 3 strokes. You know, so it's just kind of going over the stuff that we just kind of went over. All right, here they're going to talk about the AutoMagic and the untranslate globals.
Let's see some of the choices that AutoMagic offers for dealing with untranslates and global replacements. In 2006, Eclipse introduced Global Magic. Just mark your notes and pick a choice off a list. It's that easy. You can still use the powerful and efficient globaling dialog, but it takes less steps to use AutoMagic. As soon as I put my cursor on the first part of this string that means arthroscopic, Eclipse prepared a 4-stroke stenoglobal. That's what the 4 within parentheses means. And I didn't even have to mark text first, so that saved me several steps. It's choice 3 on the AutoMagic list, so I'll press 3. Now I can press 1 or 2 if I want this definition to go into my main or job dictionary. I would press 3 if I want to browse to another dictionary. Pressing 4 would apply this global to this document without creating a dictionary entry, what Eclipse users call a trash global. And if I press 5 or the escape key or simply move my cursor, then that will mean this was simply a local replacement. In other words, creating a global for this technical word took only 1 or 2 steps and involved no typing at all. Here's a 2-stroke untranslate that means garage. I don't have to start off by marking my notes, just place my cursor on the first stroke and pick choice 3 from the AutoMagic list. And now press a number to finish making this global replacement. Again, that would take only 1 or 2 steps. I didn't have to mark notes, and I didn't have to type anything at all. Eclipse Translation Magic does a very good job of understanding things that are not even in your dictionary, but sometimes the guesses can be incorrect. If so, take a look at the top of the AutoMagic list. You'll find additional choices there, and the one you need will probably be right at the top of the list. These are just some of the ways in which AutoMagic helps you deal with untranslates and global replacements with the minimum number of steps.
Any questions on that? It's pretty basic, guys. I mean, you know, it's just telling you that AutoMagic, once you do it one time, is going to remember what you're doing. So that's why it's so important to do a step inside of the software instead of just doing the insert, because it's going to remember how you're stroking or what you're trying to do. Okay? Okay, and this is just kind of mentioning some of the conflicts and how you can use a toolbar. And
Eclipse is famous for intelligent conflict resolution. Let's see how it works. Here, the word table is an untranslate, although it's been intelligently guessed. I'll define it as a conflict. A backslash will separate each conflict choice from the next. I'll also include a command that tells the system that if a number follows, the number should be in numeral form, not written form. This conflict will go in my main dictionary. This will actually be two conflicts back to back. Your is a conflict that was resolved by the computer. Here, choice 1 is correct. Here you see that you can have different colors to display the conflicts that you yourself have picked, as opposed to those that the computer has picked and those that have yet to be resolved. You also notice that the dictionary indicates that Eclipse Artificial Intelligence has learned one rule for resolving this conflict in the future. Each time you select a conflict choice, Eclipse can learn from your editing. The more you use it, the smarter it gets. You can always select a different conflict choice if necessary. The number for each choice is displayed in the status bar at the lower left of your screen. But you can also right-click on a conflict to see its choices and pick the one that is correct.
Everybody understand that? Pretty basic stuff. But, you know, like I was saying again, and I'm just going to repeat what they keep saying, is that the software is going to know what you're doing. So the more you do it, it's going to remember what you're doing. So the less work you're going to have to do later. So don't get used to inserting everything. Get used to using the software and help it help you do the artificial intelligence. Make sense?
Yep.
It's also telling you right here about, you know, conflicts, you know, can also help, you know, when you're stacking also. So it'll kind of learn what you're doing, you know, like when it showed it earlier where it was tet, but they had drug in the period. It knew that it, you know, it gives it in the AutoMagic keys as one of the options. Oh, okay, well, tet the last time was Tetra Technologies. But you drug in what seems to be the period. So was it stacking? Did you mean it to mean something else? It's Tetra. Maybe it's Tetra. Tetra Temper Management. It's something else, but you went tet, and in your mind you're thinking so quick. It's like, oh, I already have something for that. Now I'm going to do period, TE period, and it's going to mean something totally different. So you can global that to mean something totally different than when you do TE period, that it means Tetra, whatever I said, Tetra Managements, whatever. Or it'll give you the option of, did you mean Tetra Technologies period? So it's going to give you that option, and that's what they're explaining about the stacking right there. Understand? How you resolve your conflicts right here, you know, you would put your cursor here and then just select one or two, whichever you want. I think we went over that last week. It'll even give you options, you know, on words that it knows usually have like a comma after it. You can create a conflict to where, you know, usually yes always has a comma after it, you know. Except if it's just a one word by itself at the beginning of the sentence, or it's just, you know, did you go to the store? Yes. Well, you don't want it to come up yes, comma, period. You know, that's incorrect. So, you know, it'll know if it's by itself that it's just supposed to be yes, period. That makes sense? Okay. And it also, you know, if you create a conflict here, if it needs to be day to day, or if it needs to be hyphenated. If it's a hyphenated word, you create a conflict. And that's one of the reasons for creating conflicts, so that you can go through there. You don't have to highlight it. And there's also other ways of doing it. You know, if for some reason you want to. I think we went over that a couple of weeks ago, maybe, where you highlight it, You push the hyphen, and then it'll do it for you. Push enter, it'll do it. This way, if you create a conflict, then it'll already know, and you don't have to do that extra step. You're just going through real quick, pushing 1, 2, 1, 2, whatever you need in there. So if you create it as a conflict, that's why it's giving you the option of creating it as a conflict. Make sense? Okay, this was just kind of explaining what it went over in that last little lesson or tutorial, where it's going to give you the option at the bottom where the status bar is. So it's going to give you the option down there if it's doctor, if it's just saying he was a doctor, or did you understand that doctor, because they're talking to a doctor, that needs to be capitalized. Or if it's Dr. Daraj, then it has, DR period, and gives you the option of, well, you haven't defined Daraj yet, so we're giving you the option of, is it supposed to be DR afterwards, or is it just, did you misstroke something, or is it just talking about, a doctor, just some other doctor or whatever? Am I explaining that correctly? Do you understand that? Okay. So it gives you the options down there at the bottom. Is what it's explaining right here. And also they were kind of showing that you can right click on a